Greetings friends, as you recall in the last video I showed the entire process from start to finish. How we made the foundation, how we poured it, how we dug it out, how we tamped it, how we primed it with primer, the whole process from start to finish. We also started removing excess soil for future insulation and for our future blind area. In the last video I showed how we insulated it. Our foundation is now insulated so we can start working on the blind area. Thank God there's less earthwork now because we removed almost all of the soil earlier, so we just need to take off a small part. It's about 5, 10, maybe even 20 centimeters in some places. Spread all of this to the side, level it out so that our insulation fits tightly to the ground, and that will be all the earthwork. But before leveling the entire perimeter, there's a small complication. These are the utilities that will run under the foundation and under the blind area. The first utility is water, that's our pipe. Because the pipe runs very close to the blind area, I don't want to pour the blind area first and then dig under it to lead the pipe to the well. This could lead to future cracks. We only needed to dig a little bit here, about 2.5 meters. The trenches were dug to the frost depth of 155 centimeters. The pipe with insulation was laid and everything was buried neatly and evenly. Now we can continue our work. We also have a lot of extra soil left over that we dig up around our house. We take this soil to the site and use it to fill in holes, ravines, and so on. The hardest area is the left side of the house, where the ground level varies by up to 30 centimeters. We've removed over 10 wheelbarrows of soil here and continue doing so. There's also a fortress of roots along the way that we have to deal with. Good thing it didn't end up under the foundation, or we'd have had to tamp this spot down well. After we've dug everything evenly around the perimeter, I turn on the pump and start watering all the sand around our foundation where our insulation will be laid. I soak everything pretty thoroughly and for a long time so that as much moisture as possible gets absorbed into the sand and it gets packed down really well. Next, I made a heavy tool out of 100 mm boards so that it fits tightly against the ground and presses down on it. And I roll the sand evenly, covering all the gaps, depressions, holes, and so on. Now, after I've leveled everything, we can start laying our insulation. It goes directly and evenly onto the sand, leaving almost no gaps. In this regard, it's very convenient that our site is sandy, so we don't need to bring in extra sand, plus the blind area doesn't bear any load. We won't be driving a car on it, and most likely we won't even be walking on it much because we don't really have any mud here. I received a delivery of 9 tons of OPGS, an enriched sand and gravel mix. In the future, we also plan to pour different types of foundations for our farm. After I neatly laid the first part of the insulation, I immediately went over it with adhesive foam, making sure it all became a single monolithic piece. The next day, I keep laying insulation. I forgot to mention I removed the sides so the insulation fits snugly with its full 5 centimeters. Some areas don't fit whole insulation pieces, so we carefully cut and insert them. I foam all the insulation and the entire perimeter. Everything is ready. Now we can make the blind area and lay the mesh. The blind area at the bottom is 60 centimeters at the top. It's 80 by 70 centimeters, and we have a slope of 2 centimeters. After laying the first board, which will serve as our formwork, we fit the mesh. I'm using mesh with 50 by 50 millimeter cells and 3 millimeter wire. As I said, the blind area won't bear heavy loads, so I think this mesh will be enough. I was thinking about using mesh with 100 by 100 millimeter cells and 5 millimeter wire, but I decided that with smaller cells the concrete would hold better. We stretch a string at the end and level our blind area along it. We use stakes. We drive them in about 30 centimeters. That's quite enough since we'll be adding more fill to it later. There's no load here, the concrete won't go anywhere, it won't leak out, and nothing will break through. We lay the mesh cell to cell and twist the wire together. You can also notice that the blind area will be L-shaped. That is, the cement will also go behind the insulation, not just lie on top of the insulation, but will go behind it. Therefore, I believe it will be a bit more reliable than just lying on the insulation. Next, as I said, we use the same sand that's nearby and add it to our formwork. First, so that excess concrete doesn't leak anywhere, and second, this sand will additionally hold the board in place so that the cement doesn't push it out, keeping the board straight and the concrete poured evenly. We trim all the protruding stakes so that we can easily work with the screed and level everything evenly. Also, I use water to remove all the dryness. And most importantly, where our mortar will come into contact with the sand, we need the sand to be dense. Even though it's already compacted, water won't hurt, it will compact it even more. We've prepared everything for pouring our concrete. Now to pour it, we'll need a concrete mixer. I ordered the concrete mixer from the company Vika. It's the BM 160 model with a 110 liter working capacity, 700 watts of power, and it weighs 49 kilograms. I chose the best option for me, a medium-sized concrete mixer that's easy to use. We've even assembled it solo so far. We quickly turned on the concrete mixer, it works great, and we immediately started loading it to the maximum. We prepared the first batches of mortar, immediately poured it all into the corner. We don't turn off the concrete mixer, and it keeps running. I also placed pieces of polystyrene foam under the mesh so that the mesh would be 2, 1 and 1/8 inches above the insulation and the mortar would completely cover it. We transport the sand and gravel mix using a regular wheelbarrow. There are large stones here that have to be removed and filtered out so they don't end up anywhere and cause cracks in the future. Well, after that, our process becomes more streamlined and everything is neatly and evenly leveled on one side along the string and on the other side along our blind area. Our mix uses 2 shovels of M500 cement and 12 shovels of sand and gravel. We also add a plasticizer in the required proportion which strengthens our concrete by 20% and retains moisture inside it. After that, we simply pour our prepared mixture and continue leveling everything along the string and our blind area. And then, following the method we've already used and with the experience we've gained, we calmly pour the concrete where we need it. One by one, we carefully level everything. As I mentioned before, we use a regular string, stretch it evenly so that the height near the foundation is about 8 centimeters and we get a perfect 2 centimeter slope. In one day, we laid the mesh, finished the blind area and poured all the concrete. I'm showing you the work we've done. Everything turned out even and neat, and real beauty came out around the entire perimeter. After our work, it's necessary to wash the important tools. It's not afraid of moisture, it has a protected case, and now our tool is clean and ready for future work. The next day I pour water over our blind area. I didn't cover it with plastic because the weather is cool and the concrete hardly loses any moisture, but I still water it, and throughout the day I'll continue watering it every 4 hours. I wanted to thank everyone for watching. Stay tuned for the next videos. Goodbye everyone.